Alright, this is ridiculous. I know it is because we have done two videos, one month back, right? And second a few days back, and have not covered much of Ruby basics. So in this video, we'll try to cover basic Ruby complete from the Odin project complete playlist. Like there are 12. Okay, there are 12 chapters and we have covered two, so 10 chapters in one video. Let's see if we can do that or not. So let's start with input and output. Okay, to create programs that are user friendly and interactive, you need to know how to output data to a screen and how to get input from the user. In this lesson we'll cover the most common ways to achieve these tasks in Ruby. As with other lessons, the one you can use IRB or REPL. Okay, so I'm gonna be using IRB, which is opened up right here. Okay, by the end of this lesson you should be able to do the following: print, differentiate between print and puts, and describe the methods to get input from the user. Output command: to output information such as in your IRB or into command line, we can use print command to better show the difference between what Ruby is printing to the terminal and returning. The examples in the lesson use full IRB syntax, which is exactly what you see. Okay, so let's see. So I'll just print wait, I'll just print I don't know, learning basic Ruby. Okay, so this is printed and I guess this is returned, right? So print returns nil, right? That's pretty obvious. So in Ruby, null is nil, right? So nil is like nothing. Okay, so let's print 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Yeah, that's nil. Print returns nil. So if we do something like this, it will return nil. But if we do something like 1 2 3 4 without any print, it will return what we have, executed. Okay, and if we do puts, okay, so there's another command, puts. So let's see, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so the difference I can see here is that print won't print the next line at the end, but puts print a next line character at the end, so the return statements moves down, right? Okay, as you can see, the puts and print command are quite similar, but you should have already noticed the small difference between puts append a new line to the argument passed in, whereas print keeps all things on one line. An important thing to notice for both commands is that after printing whatever argument they are passed, puts and print both return nil. Okay, to highlight the difference between puts and print, we are going to pull out a piece of rarely used Ruby syntax, the semicolon. In short, semicolons are never required in Ruby. Congrats, but they're allowed to run they allow you to run multiple Ruby commands on one line. This type of code golf is not generally recommended, but it's helpful for this example. Let's see what the example is. So basically we are printing, okay, so we are printing two things in same execution and same at the same time using a semicolon. So this semicolon will help us separate the two statements. Okay, so this printed in the same line, but in the same way, if we do it with puts, let's see, puts, and with uts. Okay, so this separates them. Okay, awesome. Now let's see the input commands. To accept input from a user, we can use the gets command. When we use gets, the program execution will stop and wait for the user input. After user presses enter, the program will continue its execution. Let's try, give it a go. Open IRB, type gets, and then type the Odin project and do something like this. So we'll say gets and we'll type the Odin project. Okay, so after we entered, after we pressed enter after gets, the program started executing. Okay, and I have typed in the executing program, and when I press enter it will return what I have typed, and we can notice that it has added a new line character because I pressed enter, right? Okay, so there are three: puts, print, and gets. Actually it returns the user input instead of returning nil. Okay, so gets will return whatever user print entered, right? So we can assign it to a variable like let's say new string. Okay, and if we do something like gets, I don't know why it's chomp. Okay, so let's see, to read multiple streams. Okay, often make use of separator to read multiple streams and multi-line file input, but that's beyond the scope of this beginner lesson. For now it's helpful to use chomp method is commonly used to trim separator. I'm guessing that the chomp will chomp this off, the \n. Let's try this anyway. So I'll say hello world, and the new string should store \n. Now let's try it with the chomp, and let's try it with new string, I don't know, 1, and again hello world, and yeah, new string 1 does not have that what do you say, \n. So that's helpful to know. .chomp. Okay, now we can mark this as complete and we can move to next lesson. Okay, conditional logic, Ruby programming, conditional logic. Introduction. The lesson is all about controlling the flow of your code. The concept is pretty simple. You have some code that you only want to execute under specific condition. So you need a way for your computer to check whether those conditions have met. Conditional logic can be found everywhere in your daily life ever. Okay, we know that. Okay. Okay, so there's no parenthesis. We'll just type this out. If room tidy, wait, is this some sort of true? Okay, and I jump to another line, without even having to. Okay, so play, and I'll press enter and type end, and we get undefined variable room tidy. So this is working. Let's try this with this room tidy equals false. Let's say true. Okay, so now we have room tidy, and let's try to again. Okay, so if works. Okay, okay, so truthy and falsy in Ruby. You already know that the conditional statements check expression for a true or false value. So it follows that you need to understand what Ruby considered to be true or false, right? In typical Ruby fashion, it's very simple. Only false value in Ruby values nil and false themselves. That's it. Everything else considered true. Even the string false is true conditional expression. Okay, you might be familiar with being equivalent to false. This isn't the case in Ruby. So okay, so in JavaScript I used to write like if not string. So this is true. Okay, this is true. So if we say something like this will print, and let's end this will print string literal condition. So yeah, it gives out a warning, but empty strings are true, and same case with 0. So please keep that in mind while you're writing your code. Okay, so only thing false in Ruby is nil and false. That's it. Okay, basic conditional statement. If the simplest way to control a flow of your code using conditional with if. Okay, so we already saw how if works. Okay, we can add the logical operator and what do you say, comparison operators, right? Relational operators like this. Okay, so we have, okay, we can put something in one line as well, like we can simply say puts hello if 1 less than 2, and it should print hello. Amazing, right? One liner statements, one liner if else. Okay, so if we have else as well, we can put in else as well, like attack. Okay, we have to define that, but let's say if true, let's say if false. Okay, puts hello, else puts world, and we'll end it, and it prints out world because the if was false, right? Oh. Okay, so and we have else if as well. So it's not else if, it's not elif, it's else if, else if, else if. Okay, else if. Okay, so we have else if as well. So in else if we can put another you know, argument or conditional, like we have something like this, and we can say simply like I have no idea how to go that. Okay, if else false, puts nothing, else if, else if we have to give a condition like true, puts nothing again, and let's just end it. But you know, you can, you know, add a else again it here, and you can actually chain else if, right? So if else if, else if, else if, else if, else if, multiple conditions you can chain it through. So that's one thing. So let's see what Boolean logic. If you don't know already relational operators, you can check this out. Like equal operator, like double equal will check if the equality, not equal, this bang equal or exclamation equal is not equal, right? And this is greater than, this is less than, and this is greater than or equal to, this is less than or equal to. We all know this, right? But we have, okay, so if you want to check both the type and what do you say, value, so we can use dot equal, right? So 5 dot eql question mark 5.0 should give us false, because the first thing, both are 5, but the first one is integer and second one is float. Let's try doing it with string value. Okay, 5, and this too returns false because 5 is 5, I mean numeric 5, but not string, right? So that's that. And what equals? Okay, so equal checks both the values are exact same object. Okay. uh, okay, so let's see if I understood it. So if a equal and I say b, it should give us true. Okay, and if we say hello and b equals hello. Now this gives false. Okay, why does the string version give us false? Okay, so equal checks whether both values are exact same object in memory. Okay, so object. Okay, uh, two variables pointing to the same number will usually return true. This expression is true because of the way computer stores integers in memory. Although two different variables holding number 5, they point to the same object in memory. Okay, however, consider the next code. Okay, so it's the one we did afterwards. This happens because computer can't store string in the same efficient way they store numbers. Although the values of variable are same, the computer has created two separate string objects. Okay, the way computer stores string is that they create two separate objects, but in when we are storing integers or numbers, they're pointing to the same, whether so it's same block of memory, okay, for numbers, but in strings that's not the case for strings. Okay, in addition to above operators, Ruby has special operators that affectionately referred to as spaceship operators. Unlike the other comparison operators, which all returns true or false, the spaceship operators returns one of three numerical values: -1, 0, or 1. Okay, if the left is less than value on the right. Okay, so if this is true, then -1. If this is true, then 0. If this is true, then 1. Okay, so it's pretty intuitive, right? So if that one is true, -1, 0, or 1. Okay, so just assign places, right? So -1, 0, and 1. So if it's less than, it's -1. If it's equal, then it's 0, and if it's 1, then it's 1. Okay, and okay. The spaceship operator is most commonly used in sorting functions, which we'll cover more later. All of the above operators also work on data types other than numbers, such as strings. Why not play around with it in RELP? Okay, we can do that, right? That's a homework. Logical operators. Okay, so this is logical operator. Basically, you can combine multiple relational operators, right? So if 1 is less than 2 and double ampersand is and 5 is less than 6, then print this. Okay, so we are combining two what do you say, relational operators using a logical operator. So it should be pretty intuitive. So when we are using and, both of the conditions should be true to for the whole condition to be true, right? And if it's okay, we can use either double ampersand or and. Okay, and this is or. Double pipe is or. It's above your return or enter key on your keyboard. Okay, so double pipe is or. So basically, if either this or this is true, then the whole thing is true. If both are false, then false. And the cool thing about this is, if the first expression is true, the compiler won't even bother to check the second expression. So keep that in mind while you're using or. Okay, so it should be somewhere here with if the first expression evaluates to true, then the second expression is never checked because the complete expression is already true. Okay, and then we have not. So basically this will oppose the value. So if something is true and you put exclamation or, as we call it, bang, it will become false. Okay, and vice versa. Okay, then we have case statements. Okay, so case statements are neat way to messy if else. So basically this is the replacement for if else statement, and we can even assign return values from. Okay, so basically we have a variable. Let's see, we have grade equals f. Okay, and we can say, did I pass? We can even return from the case statement. So we can simply say case, and we can pass a variable which we want to check. So in this case we are checking for grade, and we can add when a, then we can say hell yeah, and vice versa. And well, when d, then don't tell your mother, tell your mother. And at last we can also add an else. Okay, that's cool. And basically default if you're using another language. So Donald is hiring. Okay, and at last end, as we are doing for every block statement. So here also end. McDonald's is hiring because it's grade F. Okay, and if we change it to A, then we can say hell yeah. Okay, so basically that's pretty cool. And we can have like multiple statements inside when, a single when. Okay, so we can put simply puts keyword, then something else. Like here we are, future bank account balance is 5,000 oh my god, 5 million. Okay, nice. Okay, there's unless statements as well. So basically unless is opposite of if else. Okay, so unless works in the opposite way as an if. It only processes the code in the block if the expression evaluates to false. Okay, there isn't much more to it. Basically, if unless, it's pretty intuitive, right? Unless age is less than 17, get a job. Okay, and in same way, like we can use if in single statement, we can use welcome to a live of dev unless age 17. Okay, so yeah, when you do not want to do something. Okay, yeah, ternary operator. Okay, ternary operator here also we have. So basically conditional statement, then question mark, then execute if true and execute if false. So let's say age equals 18, then we can response. Okay, we can store it to response like age less than 17. Okay, we pass on a conditional, then question mark, then what should we do when the condition evaluates to true. So we can simply say you still have your entire life ahead. And now we put the thing we want to do if the condition is false. So after colon we put get a job. Okay, and let's check what basically it returned here also, but we can simply say response. So get a job because age is 18. Okay, yeah, and we can simply do convert ternary to this if else. So it's the same exact thing. And look at that, we have completed the conditional logic. Okay, so we'll mark this as complete and move to next lesson. And loops, we are at loops. Not to be confused with Fruit Loops, the addictive cereal that causes symptoms similar to ADHD in kids. What ADHD? No. Okay, loops in Ruby are simply block of code that are continually repeated until a certain condition is met. Like me, you have probably experienced real life loops when you were given detention in school and forced. Okay, I have never been detained. Okay, the loop say what. Okay, so different types of loop. Okay, so we have the first loop. Okay, we can simply write loop and do. It's getting annoyed. I am getting annoyed. Okay, so the loop is a kind of loop. So it is an infinite loop that will keep going unless you specify request for it to stop. Okay, so we can do something like I equals 0, then loop and do, let's say, puts I is I and I plus equals 1, and break if I equal 10, and as always end. Control C, Control C, Control C. Man, what just happened? Why isn't I incrementing? Why isn't I oh, what the hell, man? I plus equals 1. My bad. Okay, so the problem is solved. Okay, I did not increment it by 1, I incremented by I. So I was 0 and 0 was adding to 0 and 0 was 0. 0 plus 0 is always 0. That's why it never went to 10. That's why the loop was infinite. So we just saw it is in fact an infinite loop until or unless we break it. Okay, so keep that in mind. Anyways, I'm sorry about the noise. It's raining out. That's right. Anyways, next loop is while loop. This is very famous loop because it's there in every other language, every language actually. I can't speak for every language, but most of the language inspired by C. That's why. Let's see, we again initialize I by 0, then we say while, then the condition, and then do, and then puts I is, again let's do that only, hash hash, yeah, and I, then we increment I, this time properly incrementing, and then end, and again we get the same thing. Okay, now okay, so this is interesting. So we can do a while based on the user's input. So we'll just chomp it out like we just saw, and we say yes, then do. So we'll ask the user, puts will you go to prom with me? Oh yeah, prom with me. Will you go to? Now we need to enter no. It will again asks us no, 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 and the moment we type yes, it exits the loop. Okay, now okay, that's how flexible while loop is, right? So until loop. Okay, so until loop is opposite of while loop. Okay, so basically that was unless was the opposite of if, so we have until. Okay, so until I is greater than 10 do. So basically till the condition is, I don't know, false, then the loop will execute, and the moment it's not, it will enter. Okay, same thing happens, but this time we use until and just opposite the condition. Okay, so yeah, and this thing, okay, that's wrong, my boy. Okay, let's start. Will you go prom with me? No, 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 yes. Okay, so this time it's equal yes. Okay, and last time we had no, I guess. Yeah, so while it's not yes, wait, huh? Yeah, right. So it this time is until it's yes, keep asking. So that's how you can read it, right? Much more readable, this code guarantees you get. So yeah, until you say yes, I'm gonna ask you. That's what it is. Okay, so then we have ranges. Okay, so this is range. Okay, it's range 1 to 5. That's, I guess, a data type only, right? What if we know exactly how many times you want a loop to run? Ruby lets us use something called as range to define an interval. As we need to do is given a Ruby is give Ruby the starting value and the ending value, and whether we want to arrange inclusive. Okay, so we can have inclusive or exclusive. Oh, okay. So if there are three dots, it's exclusive range. Okay, so 1 dot 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 5. Let me give this. Then it's exclusive range. And if let's try both out in our loop. Okay, so now we get to the for loop and we are going to use range for that. Okay, so this should include 0 and 5. Okay, so because 2 dots, but if we add one more dot here, okay, so it's including the first one, but it's not including 5 anymore. So basically, okay, so the last one it's excluding. Okay, so we missed that we have another loop, for loop. Okay, so we can use well, if you have used Python, it's very similar to for I in range, like that. Okay, so basically we can use in and then a range, and I will be our loop variable, right? Okay, now we have times. Okay, we have times loop as well, like 5 dot times 5 times do, and we can simply say puts hello G. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, and it's gonna run for 5 times. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, and we can, in this we did not get any loop variable, right? So by doing this, we can pass a variable name as well, and in under the pipes, and we can do access that variable inside our loop. So yeah, we got that. Okay, there's last loop, up to and down to loops. Okay, so we can say 5 dot up to, then let's give it 10 like they have given, then brackets, then we can say num for the variable, right? And print, let's print our number, num 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, let's give a comma here, or a space here, a comma and a space here, right? And okay, man, yeah, comma and a space, and let's run it. Yeah, so yeah, that was up to, and let's try down to once, and we need to down to change the, oh man, come on. Why you do this to me? Okay, and up to down, and 5 to 10, and it's down to. Okay, so one thing I find Ruby in this way, I find Ruby a bit like complex. It is flexible, but I don't know how did this come, and how are we using do, right? So let's try this. So down to 5, and let's change that to do, and we'll use num here, and let's see if that will work. Okay, it's giving us the, it's letting us to continue, so that's a good sign. Wait, not semi, it's hash, not dollar sign, and let's put an end. Okay, it has done the same. So basically we can replace do with this. Okay, that's the thing, you can do that. So yeah, that's brings us to the end of loops, and we can mark it as complete and move to next lesson. And we have arrays. Wow, and we have 17% completed Ruby programming. Let's check our progress once. Okay, we have completed 5 lessons, of which we did 3 in this video, and we have 7 more to go. Not bad, we can do this. Okay, let's start with arrays. Introduction. At the beginning of this section, you learned how to create and manipulate number and strings and how to assign them to a variable. In real world development, where you'll be working with dozens and hundreds of variables, working with numbers and string is individually is tedious, if not impossible. One way Ruby allows you to represent collection of data is with array, with which you can think of as ordered list rather than working with individual variables, numbers or strings. An array allows you to create and manipulate an ordered. Okay, so basically arrays are, stored in memory continuously, right? And we can store multiple data. Okay, and we just have to assign a single variable to it, like a. Okay, and it will store multiple data. Okay, like here. So okay, I'm bad at it. No worries. So basically we can give just one name and store multiple data, and that's an array, so continuously data. And the cool thing about this is all this have positions, so we can access the value using the position of it, and the position starts with 0. Okay, so let's define these two arrays in our IRB. Okay, and let's say num array, and let's check the first position, that is 0, and it will return 1 because it's that. So let's check for fourth, and it's 5, so let's check 0 1 2 3 4. This is the fourth element, and let's check what will happen if we say something like which does not exist in the array itself. Let's see, so nil, it will return nil. Okay, so that's how we access the data, right? Okay, so we can do something like, okay, so we can define an array with .new. Okay, and we can if we pass nothing, it will define a empty array, and if we pass 3, so it will have 3 elements with nil values. Okay, and if we define a default value, okay, so every element will have 7, and same way it's true for true. Okay, so that's how we create an element, okay, by new. Create an array by new keyword. Okay, accessing element, we already saw this. Okay, so we didn't see the negative ones. So, okay, so this is how the positive one will count the array from count the elements from the starting, from the left hand side. Okay, so from the starting basically. But if we pass the -1, so let's see if we pass -1, so it will return the first element from the back of the array, and that's how -1 -2 -3 -4 -5. So -5 technically should return 1. Let's check, and it returns 1. So yeah, Ruby also provides first and last array methods, which would be self-explanatory. Okay, which should be self-explanatory. So like if we pass first, first, it should return 1, and if we pass last, it should return the last element. Okay, and yeah, okay, in addition, these methods can take an integer argument which will return a new array containing first or last element. Okay, okay, last n elements. Okay, so the first, let's return first 3 elements, so 1 to 3 we get, and let's return last 3 elements, so we got 3 4 5. That's self-explanatory, right? So adding or removing. Okay, so we have push to push the element, so let's push some numbers in our nums array. Okay, so we'll add dot push. second. Yeah, so we'll push 3 and 4 again, and let's see. So 1 2 3 4 5, this was our previous array, and we pushed 3 and 4, so that's what. And we can use this double arrow as well to push. Okay, so this one, double less than signs, to I guess push 6. So yeah, it added 6 at the end. Okay, now we have num array dot pop. So pop will return and delete the last element, so it should return 6, and now our nums array should not have 6. Okay, cool. Now we have shift and unshift. So unshift will add something at the first front of the array, and shift will remove something from the front of the array, and it works same way as pop, just from the front. Okay, all right. Okay, so pop can take pop can take argument like first 3 elements we returned using argument giving argument to first. Likewise, we can delete last 3 by giving 3, and we can remove from the front 2 elements by giving the integer argument 2. Adding and subtract. Oh, wait, what? Okay, what do you think the outcome? If you get, okay, let's see if we can add 2 elements, 2 arrays. Okay, it adds. Okay, 1 2 3, then the second 2 3 4. Okay, and the same way we can do concat. Okay, so it's the same thing, exact same thing. Okay, and minus will, okay, it will delete all the occurrences of each element. So if we have something 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, then 1 1 1 1 1 and 1 again, and then we minus it by, I don't know, 1 comma 2, then it will remove all ones and 2 from this array. That's pretty cool. Basic methods. Okay, so basic methods, we can see the basic methods on arrays. All right, so like numbers and strings, array 2 have some basic methods, right? So okay, we can see dot methods. Okay, so dot methods will give us the complete list of array method, and it's also an array of methods. Okay, so yeah, and we can see, well, you can always refer to all of this, and the methods should be, intuitive, very intuitive. Like insert should insert something, is empty question mark, is it should be, should return true or false if in case the array is empty or not, like this. So is empty array an empty? True. If is empty array of, is array of an empty array is empty? No, it's not, right? And that's why it's also returning false, because it has 1 and 2. The dot length should return the length of the array. The length starts with 1, because that's common sense, right? So position starts with 0, but the length should be the number of elements in that. Okay. And dot reverse with return the reversed element. Include will return true or false if in case the element is there, and it will check the data type, because if it pass string of 3, it will return false in this. Okay, and join will return a string of the array joining all the elements, and we can pass argument to that using the separator, right? So if we have like 1 2 3 and we pass dot join and we pass comma, it should return like this. Okay, that's pretty cool, and you can always refer to all of these using just array dot method. I don't know if this will work with this methods. yeah, it will work. Okay, but it's the methods for array class. Okay, so you have dot new, okay, and like that. But if you have an array, and you can simply say methods, and you'll have all the methods that you can apply to an array. Now let's simply mark it as complete and move to next lesson. Alright guys, that's it for this video for now. In the next video we'll continue with hashes in Ruby, and hope you enjoyed it so far. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, because it really encourages me to create more such content. Anyways, till the next time, peace out.